Hello everybody, welcome back to Listen Able, or welcome to Listen Able. Maybe the person who we're chatting to has said, I'm on the Listen Able podcast, check it out. And this is the first time you've heard two people hosting a podcast normalising disability. Dylan Alcott, hello.
Just a couple of mates chopping it up.
Just hanging out.
Just chopping it up.
That's what podcasts are made for. Year 3 for us, over 100 guest episodes, and today, just happy to be bringing this person near the 110s or wherever we are now. Firstly, we'll let this person introduce themselves before I give them a bit of thanks.
Yeah, sweet. My name's Chappo, or James Chapman. I'm 19 and I'm from Newcastle, Australia.
Now, Chappo, what did you do in preparation for the podcast?
Had bacon, eggs for brekkie. That's about it.
I heard you went out and bought some equipment to make sure.
Oh, yeah, I was going to. Went out to buy headphones, but my housemate had a spare pair of AirPods. So came in clutch. Saved my bacon.
Well, the fact you were going to, just to make the experience better, and people are thinking, no need. No, for people who are watching and listening to this, the higher quality audio, better for people who are hard of hearing. And obviously to have this filmed is better for people who are deaf or hard of hearing.
I've had a bit to do with Newcastle as of late. If you're listening from overseas, Newcastle is in northern New South Wales. How nice is Newcastle, first and foremost, because one of my partners, NIB's up there. Everyone from Newcastle sounds the same.
Cool coastal?
Yeah, you got this cool dialect and accent. Do you agree with that, Chappo?
Yeah, it's God's country up here.
Man, everyone I've met is like, get on, man. I was like, man, I'm feel good being here. Yeah.
Now, Chappo, we are a podcast about disability, and what is your involvement in the community?
Yeah, sweet. So I have pseudoachondroplasia, which is a form of dwarfism. It affects roughly 1 in every million people. In my case, my dad was born with it. He had 2 average height parents, so he just got the really lucky gene. And then my mum is average height. So when they had me, there was about a 50% chance that I was going to be born with pseudoachondroplasia or average height. And then they didn't know until I was 10 months old when they got me tested, because Dad had dwarfism. They thought they might get me tested and see if I have it as well. So at 10 months, they found out that I had pseudoachondroplasia.
What terminology do you like rolling with to describe your disability? Because one, I'm a disabled person with disability, I couldn't give a shit. But for people, I'm not going to put the words in your mouth, but your community, as in, it often changes. It's one that, as a disability advocate and consultant, I'm like, oh, actually, this one is really nuanced as to what people want. So what do you roll with?
Yeah, it's a super tricky one. I think, personally, I'm like the cruisiest bloke ever, so I don't really get offended by much. But a safe thing in Australia, we're called the short-statured people of Australia. So short-statured is probably a pretty safe term to use. In America, they use the term little person,
which I just cannot tell you how much I hate.
Yeah, it's a different one.
Little, I don't know why, but
it is weird because they
do.
They embrace it as well. Like we spoke to someone recently, Vint Cerf, and he calls his hearing impairment. Yeah. We don't use the word impaired here in Australia. Now, these are just,
But it's not
nuance.
for me. It's like, I'll call anybody whatever they want, but I'm just like, I just feel weird saying that. What if someone comes up to you and goes, oh, you a little person? Do you get like piss off, or are you like?
Not really. I think like if someone came up and was like call me a midget or something, I'd probably get a little bit more offended. So that's probably like the big no.
We haven't had someone with short stature who has, lent into the M word. We have had a few guests, and I would say more in the older age bracket, who do embrace dwarfism or dwarf as a terminology. But we are going to stick, Chappo, with short stature. Mate, you've just lived the best life, and I mean that just from a jealous point of view. What a lifestyle you have. If you're not surfing, skating, snowboarding, or camping, I mean, what are you doing? This is unbelievable. When did sports, or extreme sports in some circumstances, become part of your life? And was there any sort of limitation around your disability?
Yeah, so started off playing like football, like soccer from a really young age. So from like kindergarten, year 1, like under 6s, 7, 8s, played like football, soccer, and then mum and dad thought it got a bit too big. The boys were getting too big, so they kind of pulled me out of it. Jumped into playing softball, loved sport, and then had a big operation in year 3, which meant I couldn't walk for about 3 months. Had to relearn to walk. It wasn't supposed to be that big, but it was just huge for me. It was pretty much just straightening my legs. It was supposed to be. So it's called 8 plates, and with pseudoachondroplasia and a lot of dwarfisms, you're born with bowed legs. So it was hopefully to make my legs straight, and it worked a bit, not amazingly, but the recovery for that meant that I kind of put on a bit of weight and I didn't get to do a lot of exercise, which is what I loved. And then kind of ever since that, I've been thinking like every moment to do exercise is just a blessing on the body, like it's something we take for granted every day. So I was fully loving it. And then at about year 7, I picked up like a scooter, like, you know, the like skate park scooters.
Like razor scooter.
Yeah,
Like a razor, yeah. I got a razor and rode that around, and then bought like a little bit more heavy duty one and rode that for a few years, and then stopped that. And in that time as well, I started surfing. One of my best mates is like a semi-pro surfer, so started surfing, and that was a whole journey in itself. Surfing's been probably the hardest thing to pick up ever. And then through the foundation that I made surfing, I started skating and was just frothing on skateboard. Skated every day for like, I reckon, like 3 months, then got a job as a skate coach. So then got to teach little kids how to skate. And it was such a blessing because my body's different. I always knew like about foot placement and the importance of like how your body moves, which gave it a sick insight to skating. And then, yeah, surfing something I've kept doing, and in the past year or two, starting to see some rewards. But it's been like 5 or 6 years of like not even making out the back and just getting smashed for me to get somewhere with it.
What are you best at? What's your best discipline? Surfing, skating?
Probably at the moment surfing, I reckon. Like it was skating for a bit, but I'd say surfing now.
I have no inside knowledge on this, but each Olympics and Paralympics gets to pick sports.
Oh.
Like Tokyo had skating and it's in. I've got a feeling in LA 2028, wheelchair skating, you know, like Aaron Fotheringham and that, I reckon that'll be in. Is there a chance that, like, do you know other people with your disability that skate around the world? Is there like a competition for it?
Yeah, so there's a few skaters that are super good. In America, there's like even, you know, Wee Man from Jackass.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a question about Wee Man coming up.
He skates super well as well with like, there's a dude named Angel, like Cardenas, I think. And he's amazing. And then the probably most famous dude is a dude from Barcelona, and his name has just slipped my head. But he's
that's a weird name.
Yeah.
I think you meant to say it. Just slip my head.
Just slip my head all caught.
You got to say it in a Spanish accent.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is nuts. He's like definitely leading the way for skateboarding for people with or with dwarfism in general.
While we're on the topic, talk to me. What can you do? Kickflip, varial, what everything, or are you just an ollie?
I've seen you do 6 steps.
Yeah, I'm a pretty transition-based skater. So we've got like a big bowl in Nui. So just like 50-50s, rocket fakies, smiths, feebles, that sort of stuff. Like fakie shove deckers and those sort of things.
I used to do that on my tech deck with my fingers.
Oh yeah,
on Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
That's where everyone starts.
Yeah, Dylan can do a 900.
I can
On Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Skater.
Question for you, Chappo, because I think one thing probably Dylan did forget about for a second is your proximity to the ground. So kick flips and, board tricks are going to be, I would never say impossible, but incredibly difficult for you. Because to ollie, for one, we're looking at you need to be getting 12 inches plus off the ground just to get that board to flip. So is that why, trick flips aren't going to be in the repertoire versus, transitions?
Yeah, I think something for me, like difficult enough jumping, let alone with something underneath your feet that you have to coordinate. And how like an ollie works is like you push up the back tail, you push it down and it snaps to lift up the front. And your front foot has to slide all the way to the top of the board. And that's always been difficult because my legs don't reach the front and the tail of the board at the same time. So to be able to do that has been a big challenge. And some companies are now starting to make like mini versions, but same width. But because I like a wider board, it was always really difficult to find like a board the right length. So yeah, I just kind of stuck away from a lot of the flat ground tricks, like you keep flips and stuff. And I also just like going fast. So I always found ramps good in that sense.
What about when you're in the green room?
Oh,
surfing terminology.
Yeah, in the barrel. Yeah,
in the barrel, no sunscreen because you got shade. Talk us through that setup. Are you on a short shortboard, as in like that's a type of surfboard if anyone playing at home, I'm not saying because you are short. And can you like actually get in the tube or what? Like talk us through how you're going.
Yeah, so I recently, or like a little while ago, got this custom made Dry Burns, who's like a local shaper here in Newey board. And what he's done, he's made like a shorter board, but because a lot of the kids that are riding my size boards are just like super skinny and don't weigh anything. So all the kids' boards just like can't hold me well. So I had to get like a custom one, and it's got this elevated deck on it. So it means that it can hold a little bit more foam to make it easy for me to paddle. But it also has the ability to be like short enough to like rip on it and do a few turns. And then I don't know if you guys know Bethany Hamilton, obviously.
Of course,
We do.
one-armed surfer.
Shark attack.
She has on her board, because she can't duck dive, she's got a rope there to help her duck dive. So on the sides of my boards, I've got 2 handles to put rope in to help me duck dive. I don't really use them, but it's just super handy if it gets bigger. So it's like, because my grip strength is another thing with my dwarfism, is you don't really have grip strength. So it just helps you hold on to something. And then, yeah, I got my first barrel, I reckon, like last year maybe, but it wasn't very good. I'm chasing a bigger one this season. So I've been on the hunt.
What's the biggest wave?
Oh, not that. Maybe like 4 foot.
Yeah, but it's all
5 foot, not
relative.
huge.
Like if someone's 6 foot, that's double over. That's 12 foot.
Oh, yeah,
so-
yeah. Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I mean, can you claim that? Because like you're...
Yeah, double overhead. Yeah.
100%.
That's
I mean, I
brutal.
died on like a 3 foot day, and it's almost double overhead.
That's what I mean. So it's like for you, that's like everyone surfing 6 footers every day. That's sick.
Yeah, it's solid. It's
Oh, that's great.
I'll take it.
That.
This is the biggest you episode we've ever done.
Yeah, I know.
We're mixing up profiting.
We're gonna have to watch some
Bruce and Beals is just like, God, you guys are broing out right now. But hey, we love everyone listening.
We love the adaptability of the design of the surfboard. And shout out to your surfboard maker in Newey. Name again?
I believe it's Shaper.
Dry Burns.
Shaper, Jai Burns. Good on you, mate. I'm friends with Morris Jones.
Shut up.
There's any changes in the design of your house? Now, you're 19 years old. You said your roommate at the start in relation to your headphones. So have you got a share
Yeah,
house?
so I do. I'm in like a weird sticky situation.
Oh.
So my friends all moved into a new house, and one of the boys moving in the house was currently on the block, like filming for the next season.
Oh, is that a scoop? You've just absolutely ruined it. Is that a scoop?
No, he's just one of the builders for it. So
Oh, okay. In Phillip
But
Island.
yeah, he was building down in Phillip Island. So while he couldn't be here, I moved in to help out with the event. So I've been like living at home for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Got like another week or 2, and then I'm back home again with the parents. It's pretty straightforward. Just a few stalls around. There's like no massive changes, like stall in the bathroom, in the kitchen. All the front doors and stuff are low at my house at home for me and Dad to open easy. Here the doors are a bit higher, so I've just got a stall at the front. And then kind of just put all the stuff in the fridge towards the bottom. I've got at home like a freezer one side, fridge other, not rather than fridge on top, freezer below.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Man, it sucks for me. I can't reach. I'm the same height as you, really. So I can't. It sucks, man.
Oh, yeah, because most of the area would be like freezer. Oh, I got an upside down freezer. Most people have freezer on the top or whatever it is. You usually
exactly.
be able to access both, but with a double door, you've got access to both, and you can just put in the lower X sections.
Yeah, that's super handy. And then, besides that, just making sure all your appliances are super easy to use and like down low is the only big thing.
Without fail, when people come to my kitchen, they go, "Can I get a glass of water?" I'm like, "Go for it," and they look in the top cupboards. Without fail,
I did this.
without fail,
I did that.
I know.
with
Every
100%
time.
success rate. And it's like, why would they be up there? They're like, "Oh yeah, yeah."
That's true. I've got a question around grabbing a beer that I only just thought about because I'm like, I didn't know you were 19 until we started.
Yeah.
Getting checked for ID.
yeah.
Every time?
Never been checked.
I've never been checked.
Never.
I wonder if that is just somebody not wanting to ask a question, like the nervousness around,
That's
exactly what we've
100%.
spoken about communication. What terms do people like to use, or just people's fear of getting it wrong? So you just, I
always like to stir the pot as well. Like if I ever do, I'm always like, why is it? Because I'm sure. Like just stirring them up and see how they react is so funny, I reckon. But yeah, it doesn't happen a lot.
If you and your dad go out for a beer and you're just sitting there, it's two blokes with short stature having a beer. I mean, it would be for some people, they'd be like, what is going on here? If it wasn't for that big, thick mustache on your face, there might be some confusion.
Short stature conference as well. Like when I go out with a bunch of wheelchairs, like, it's like on a disability wheelchair conference going on. I'm like, this is my mate. When we play basketball, because there's like 6 wheelchairs normally, a couple of amputees, whatever, and everyone's like, well, is there an expo on? I'm like, what do you mean? Like some kind of disability expo? Or here to go? Like,
well,
no.
you've got all your footy mates, your soccer mates as well. Like when you guys all hang it together, go for a beer after a game.
When we were over in Germany, so I played soccer over in Germany for Team Australia last year.
In the world,
cool.
what's it called? The games?
The World Dwarf Games. So yeah, it's kind of like the Olympics for short-statured people. It's probably the easiest way to explain it. Definitely not as high quality, but a bit of fun. And on the last night, they like rent out like a big club kind of thing over in Germany, and you all go there to like celebrate. And there's like 500 people in this, like short-statured people in this club, and it's super cool. And then our basketball coach and like one of the other like friends of, they're like 6'5" and 6'3", and they just stand out like a sore thumb. It's so funny. Like I feel like it's like the opposite of like me anywhere else. It's like our basketball coach, like 6'5", with like a bunch of like short statured people around him, just like, what is going on?
It's like upside down world of the normality.
Genuinely.
Majority to minority and that kind of thing. That's
Tell you what, if you had a bit of a cheeky dwarfism fetish vibe, imagine going to the pub.
Oh, great day to be out there. Question for you, Chappo, just around, and we of course say drink responsibly, as you should. But does alcohol, just because of your size, affect your body differently? Are we talking one pint for you is 4 for somebody else?
I don't drink heaps. I reckon though it's like it doesn't take heaps to get me going though either. So probably like a few and I'll be having a good time.
How tall are you, mate? How tall are you?
I'm 115 centimeters, like 3'7", 3'8".
Okay.
115 centimeters. Yeah.
And there's different types of dwarfism in short stature. Like, are all your muscles relatively the same? So you're like, if that makes sense, how some people with different disabilities, their like arms might be short, their torso is the same, but their legs are short. Yeah. What's your proportion around your body?
So yeah, there's like 400 plus different types of dwarfism.
Yeah, I had no idea till this podcast, man. Yeah, I thought everyone's
the same. Yeah, so it's crazy all the things. A big part of pseudoachondroplasia means that my face is the same as like an average height person. So I'm really blessed in the sense I don't have any nasal or ear or breathing problems at all, which can be common in a lot of people with achondroplasia. A part of their thing, as well as their back. So the way their spinal cord connects to their head and their back causes a lot of issues, which is, I'm super blessed to not have any back issues either. My type of dwarfism is generally the shorter type. So I was class 1 at the games out of 4 classes based on height. So I was one of the shortest people there. And I'm like somewhat proportionate, but means my arms, my legs, they can't straighten. So as I'm like standing up straight, my legs, I'm always in a squat. So I just build big glutes. So I've got a big bum, which you notice with a lot of people with dwarfism. And then, but proportion wise, it's pretty similar, just all a bit wonky, I would suppose is the best way to put it. And my torso's pretty much average height, a little bit shorter, but not a lot shorter. And then all your organs are the same as well as an average height person.
Is there conversations in your community around, this is the great part about my slightly different style of dwarfism, but you've got this, is there conversations around, like, do you find out about some of the differences or similarities between you? And what kind of interesting conversations have you had?
Oh, I don't know. So, like, what we call each other, well, like me and a group of mates and some of the boys from like England and stuff, all call each other corns, because achondroplasia is like acorn and then you just shorten it to corns. So you're like, hanging out with the corns and stuff. But yeah, a lot of people with achondroplasia we call it a ski jump, and it's where their nose goes in and they generally have a bigger forehead. So there's always like a few little digs at that, and then they're like, yeah, all right. And then I'll have a big waddle. So they're like, yeah, waddle. And then like, there's just like different things, like different ways to like stir up each other. But generally, like, it's so important to have a relationship in those times. So like, if you don't know someone, you're not going to go stir them up.
And you've been all around the world, not just, doing sport, but you went on a Kentucky tour, naughty boy, throughout Europe and Japan, I believe. One, how'd you go backpacking? Because I did in my wheelchair and it was tough, but awesome. Secondly, what was the reaction from other cultures around seeing you on the Kentucky kicking ass?
Yeah. Yeah. So I did 5 weeks in Japan, and that was just with my mates. So that wasn't a tour. But one of my best mates was lucky enough to be born over there. So I had a few friends there. So staying with them, that was like culture wise, a bit of a shock for people. I feel like as a culture, they tend to hide their disabilities a bit more. So the whole time I was there, I only saw one other person with dwarfism, which is like for a country of that size is
Rare.
pretty ridiculous. Just because they hide kind of people with disabilities, which is super sad. They just don't think they don't have the respect for them and think that there's something wrong, which was super sad as like someone coming in and saying that like, oh wow. But still an amazing country, and I had an awesome experience with my mates there. That's where I did my snowboarding and stuff, and that was awesome. And then I did Dubai, and Dubai was pretty gnarly. Like, as a culture, they're a little bit more like keen on seeing people that are a bit different, and they were frothing over me. And then Europe is a pretty like they're up to date with things, so it was pretty standard. You get your odd like people asking for photos and that sort of thing. But Egypt was the culture shock. So in Egypt's history, people with dwarfism were the god of entertainment. So that was just what they're known as. So everywhere I went, I had like people following me, like trying to give me hugs and pick me up, and like it was gnarly. Like my mates were like full on like seckies there, like giving me free. It was pretty. I felt like a celebrity, like giving me free stuff and like getting photos, and like you just have kids like follow me for like kilometers. And then the whole backpacking thing was super difficult just because I can't walk heaps. So I took a scooter over with me, like just like a little trick scooter, and that just got me around everywhere so much easier. And I had my backpack, and also my mates are awesome and help carry it whenever needed, and like would even carry me if I like really needed or was struggling in something. So that was super good until my scooter got stolen one night, and I was just like, no. So I had a few days without one, then had to buy another one and get it all like chopped up. Um, but yeah, I think it's more just like a lot of walking and a lot of like 15 kilos on my back is like
Yeah.
over a third of my body weight. So it was just like ridiculous.
Same as the surfing. Just comparing body types. That's
Yeah.
1/3 of your body weight. That's
Exactly.
wild.
Yeah.
But also having short levers would be hard with stairs, and it's not the most accessible place ever. Unless you're bloody keep flipping down them. Am I right? Am I right?
That's right,
What up, Rodney Mullen?
You're working in a youth ministry. How has that been? And just around religion, how has some of the older religious types found welcoming you into the parish or church?
It's been super key in my life, I think. So yeah, I get the blessing to kind of mentor and support teenagers from like 12 to 18 in their life and in their like faith and stuff, which is super sick. I think that it's such a pivotal time of life. Like so much growth happens in your teenage years. And as someone who kind of is a bit different and had like identity, like thoughts on like why am I made like this, and the idea of like am I perfect and what that looks like, I think I've been blessed with the story that I can share in that space as well, which has been super awesome. A lot of the old guys are awesome. I've been to a few churches though where like old people have like followed me out the church and like are trying to talk to me. It's just like, whoa, I'm just like a normal dude. But generally it's pretty good.
What religion are you rolling with?
Yeah, so I go to a Christian church.
Okay.
So yeah, non-denominational Christian.
It's a bit uncomfortable, but I'm just going to get into it now. Why not? The church readings and Bible, etc., sees disability as a curse in a lot of it, and that we need to be prayed for to be fixed, as opposed to, obviously it's updated and changed a lot, hopefully, not everyone's bias or understanding. How does that make you feel as a disabled person, knowing that a lot of this stuff, not a lot of it, but part of the information, from religion is
Same
that
struggles as homophobia. And
is actually that disability is a bad thing. How do you kind of navigate that?
I think like you look just like anything, you've got your majors and your minors, I think. So the major to my belief is that there was this dude named Jesus, and he died and then rose again. And because of that, we can now live what we have. But also, the Bible talks a lot about being made perfectly in God's image. So I can't look at anyone with a disability and say they weren't made perfectly in God's image. And that was something I had to like figure out, because I was like, it's like, God, why you make me like this? And I think older generations and even some cultures now probably still look at it and be like, they're made wrong or something's wrong with them. Whereas I think if you look at what, like, I believe the Bible says, and also like I've seen through my church experiences, that we've been made in a way that perfectly shows God's love for us in different ways. It shows how, I just think it's been super easy for me. No one's ever really like tried to pray for me to become tall or anything like that. Like that was never a thing that I came across. And if it is something that people come across, I'll say sorry, in every sense, because it's not really where I believe that we're led, but it's more of like understanding the purpose for you to be made like that. And it's like, for me, the amount of impact I can have as someone with dwarfism, like being on podcasts like this, and I got to speak at like a local school with like 800 kids the other day. Like the ability to speak into people's life being made how you are, I think just shows the planning that goes into it as well. It's like, how cool is it that we can all be different as well? Like, we don't want to all be the same.
Well answered, bro. That was cool. It's good. A good perspective from you.
I mean, there's a journey with everything in life for every single person. Have you found your journey with your faith an interesting one to be in the space that you are now? Was there ever a time where you did pray to be, by your bedside to be taller?
Yeah, at about like 14, 15, I really struggled with my identity, and I was kind of figuring out like what my purpose was. Like, I was like, God, if you made me tall, like, imagine, like, that's such a miracle. Like, you can't deny that. Like, if someone saw me now and then tomorrow and I was 6'5" tomorrow, they'd be like, well, that's tangible. Like, I can see that. But it really only affect the people that knew me before. And I think I've kind of got the understanding now of like the impact. Well, Bethany Hamilton said it once, like, I can have so much more of an impact with one arm than I can with two.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, in the same sense, like, I can have so much more of an impact with dwarfism than I could without. So I think just understanding that my purpose is this, and like, it's actually the biggest blessing. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world right now. Like, I froth it. And I think it's just a really cool space to be in, and to have a platform in as well.
You've got a great social media presence, some really cool photos, a great way to, sit back and enjoy your life. I'm a father of 2 now, so I don't get to do the cool stuff you do. So it has been great to sort of look at that.
I'm following you.
Yeah. Well, here you go. Here comes a live follow from Dylan Alcott. Here it's coming. Incoming.
Tracy Chapman, is that it? No, just kidding.
It's James 13. Yeah.
There he is.
Oh,
follow back. Follow back.
There.
What a jerk.
Notification.
Yeah, come on.
You already followed me. I always feel bad when I go on someone's profile, it says follow back. I'm like, I'm a jerk.
Well, there you go. That exists. That was cool. So how do you deal with people who just come into that space? Like, we don't have to delete comments that often on this enable, but we're new to the TikTok space, and I'm spending 20 minutes a day just deleting comments. I don't know if anonymity is more on TikTok, but Jesus, it's a brutal platform. Have you, putting yourself out there, like you said, with the way that you're speaking, it's about, inclusivity. How do you go with people who are, making jokes about, you jumping into water and it's a drip sound effect?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tricky one. I think it's only been really recently where I've started to do a bit more TikTok stuff. I always like frothed Instagram and just showed my life, but that was always your mates. Like, you never really had any bad comments on there for me, which I was super lucky with. And then TikTok, like, recently had a video that hit like 30 million views, and like,
your video,
I could sit through the comments for hours and just like scroll and be like, wow, this is kind of cooked. So it's kind of like find the middle ground of like, you read like 99 amazing comments and then you read one crap one, and that's the only one you remember.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the idea of like, hey, maybe I shouldn't spend heaps of time reading it, but also knowing that I don't have a relationship with these guys. These guys don't actually know me, and therefore don't have an ability to speak into my life. And just like kind of owning that. It's like, I'm not what old mate down the road says I am. I am who I am, and they can't really change that either.
Do you keep the comments? Because I delete them because it's not me. It's, people like Sean Millis, his videos copped a fair few comments, and I'll say his name because, that's what he's been dealing with, trolls for a long time. But I delete them because I don't know how Sean is perceiving that without the control of being able to delete them himself, if that makes sense. But you've decided to keep those comments up there. Why is that?
I think, like, you just, like, by deleting it, you're giving them a bit of power, saying that, like, it had an effect on you. For me, at least, it's like, if I'm giving enough time to delete it, it's like, why even read it in the first place? Like, it's not for me. They comment, other people see it, and especially, like, this video's got like over 10,000 comments. I'm not going to.
I just looked. I just had a look.
Hours on hours.
Dylan wasn't texting you. I could see he was on your TikTok.
I was just on my TikTok. Look, it was like, this guy's got 6'4" energy, just like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to do something about like TikTok because
you got it.
Just to make a safe space for everyone, and they're mainly just in this world where everyone's
I think we're
different.
held accountable because Facebook owns Instagram, and you mostly connect them up, and then there's that sort of level of identity that you have to put through having an Instagram account, if that makes sense.
Man, you got so many viral videos. You're killing it. Teach me.
Dylan's coming onto TikTok now. You're probably getting a follow over there.
Teach me, bro.
The double.
Man, 5.9 mil, 3.1 mil, 32 mil. What's going on?
Me and my mate, like, a few weeks ago, did a race to 10,000 followers.
Oh, you pumped in.
Got it. So I just started like then, and then just been pumping them out since. So we'll see what happens.
Love it, mate.
Well, do a bit more.
It's great to for people to see people like yourself changing those perceptions around that. Mate, before we leave, I've got two questions. We've got three because I think we've both got a bowl of uncomfortable. The question before the bowl is Dylan's huge, and I'm speaking on your behalf, but this has been widely spoken about in the podcast, is Dylan's huge about loving his disability. And, we speak to most of our guests about that journey to loving their disability. A lot of them aren't there yet, but hopefully one day will be. You're there at the age of 19. How did you get there between speaking about being 15 and praying for a change to being here at 19 and speaking about why, you're in God's image?
Yeah, I think, well, a big one is like, if you don't love it, you might accidentally hate it. It's like, no one wants to hate it. So loving is easier. A smile takes less muscles than a frown. I think like that's just something I've always looked at. It's like, why be negative in a space where you can be positive? But it's not always super easy to get to that point. I think for me, it's like surrounding yourself with good mates was super helpful. Having the community around you, and my mates, like, they're awesome. But just people that bring you up is super, super key, and like know you for more than just like your disability, but for like as a person. And that don't treat you different, but like treat you with an understanding of what they need to do and what they don't, has been super key for me. Like those people around me that support. Having a dad with the same disability was also amazing. Just seeing like how he lived, and then how much everyone loved him. I kind of just felt normal at home, so I never really felt different. And then another part of it is as well is like actually speaking like positive. Like your words have power. It's like if you get up every day and say you hate yourself, like it's actually going to bring that over yourself. So it's like about creating an environment where you can speak life into yourself, and really believe it, because you can't believe it if you don't first speak it.
How many double overheads has your dad got?
Oh, he wishes.
Yeah. What's his name?
His name's James Chapman as well.
You got the same name.
And my granddad. Yeah, it's so, bro, doctors is so annoying.
Is your granddad's not a person of stature though, is he?
No, he's average height.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. There's chappos everywhere.
So if you have a son, are you going to go for James Chapman?
I don't know. It's a big one. I think Dad would kill me if I didn't. But I think like I probably will. It'll definitely be somewhere slid in, like whether it's a middle name or a first name.
Okay.
But
middle name's a cop out.
It is a cop out. I know.
Bowl of Uncomfortable, Chappo. This is where people send us questions. Sometimes I think, both of these questions aren't necessarily towards you, but knowing, we had someone with short stature coming on the podcast, these are both relating to your disability. Dylan, you're up first.
I don't rate mine. I'm just going to change it.
Okay.
Because I think he loves him. Do you love Wee Man from Jackass?
Or
do you like not? Oh,
Maybe you should
ask you then.
Here we go.
Is Wee Man a positive or negative person to represent your community?
I think what he does is fun. Like does is funny. Like I grew up frothing on how funny it was, and there's a space for that. But I also think that we need to be pretty careful on how we do display ourselves as people with short stature, because it's like we definitely don't want to create the understanding that it's okay to be like thrown around and that sort of stuff and be treated, and be taken the piss out of. So in that sense, I don't love necessarily what he does, but I think that at that time there was space for it, and he did it really well, and he was super funny. And I'm sure if you get to know him more, like that's not his actual thing. Like he was doing it as a job, for movies, and I don't think he wants to be disrespected in his everyday life. But I think we should start to lead away from the idea of like using disabilities as like the butt of a joke.
Yeah, literally making him a cannonball, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
And there's that bias and perception around like circus and that with people. It's just crap because that makes it hard when you go get a job or you ask someone on a date or whatever. Yeah.
I think also, and you know, this is just thinking, I might be wrong, but also something like a wee man where, yeah, he was, you know, thrown against a dartboard and turned into a cannonball, these sorts of activities, which people found funny. And, you know, they're entitled to find it funny. But then that gives people an excuse to say something to you and then go, oh, okay, Chappo, well, wee man found it funny. Does that make sense? So it's like also that representation allows people to be ruder because somebody has done something a bit more outrageous, which is cool for him and his personal circumstances. No dramas. If he's comfortable with that's drama. No worries. But for you, you might not, and somebody else in the community might not feel comfortable with that.
Well, I think at the time there wasn't many other advocates with disability like him, with the same disability. Like if the president had short stature, you'd be like, oh, actually that guy. But if that's the only version you know, because you don't have any mates with it, you think that's normal, if that makes sense? Because like, you know, Peter Dinklage wasn't around then and he's all not about that stuff, you know. He's like just a bloody great actor who won awards. So it's all different, yeah.
Well, yeah, a lot of it is like trying to live a life of just breaking stereotypes, and that's something I like to do. Is like people may think this about you, and then you just like prove them completely wrong. And I think that's a big part of what I want to have a platform as well, to break the stereotypes of what people think I'm capable of versus what I actually am.
Yeah, my second bowl is: do you want kids knowing they might have dwarfism?
Yeah, I want kids. 100%.
And you're chilling if they come out the same height as you?
It's getting more tricky as technology advances, like with the ability to maybe one day like change genes and make them average height. That is a whole nother story in itself, and that's super difficult. But a big part of me thinks that like I've lived the best life. My dad's lived an amazing life. It's like, why take that away? I think what the world can sometimes see as like a hopeless situation. There can be still so much hope in that. It's like for someone who says, like, I know parents that had some influence and were kind of famous that would get treated so badly online about having kids because they were like, you're bringing someone into the world with a disability that's going to affect their life and going to lead to a crappy life standard. It's like, I can't look at my life and say it's been crap in any way at all.
Well said, mate. Love it.
Yeah, amazing. I think we'll leave on that note. Chappo, thank you. You know, I can't for giving Dylan an excuse to use his 3 surfing terms that he knows from a bloke who's never been out in the water on a surfboard.
Gnarly.
We'll have to take you out, Dylan.
Mate, a lot of people have been asking me to come surf. Like you can kind of do it as a paraplegic now. There's a little seat on a surfboard kind of vibe, yeah? Is that right? But I'm chilling. Get effed. I'm good.
And with wakeboards as well would make it easier.
Oh, yeah. Or I could just watch you because I don't care.
Yeah, we'll have a beer and watch you.
Yeah.
Chappo, we're going to have all your links to TikTok and Instagram below. So maybe everyone can click that. But if you're just listening to this in the garage, James 13 Chapman _ make sure you get around the great man, and we'll have a sneaky beer when we're in Newcastle, or a Coke, whatever.
100%.
Whenever we see you next, mate.
No, definitely. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.